All right.
All right, if I can have everybody stand, since you're all standing, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to our December meeting. I'll put us in order. I just want to start with my president's report, which is a little bit longer than it normally is. I just want to start by saying thank you to the board for putting me in this position this year. It's been one of those years. A little, actually, I don't know.
For putting you in this position?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For electing me or nominating me to be the president. And, you know, it's been a year of a lot of stuff that nobody could predict. And I thank you all for supporting me and also for, you know, being here for this board. It's been a wild year so far. I know when I talk year, I'm talking calendar year versus school year, and we are only halfway through. But I just want to thank you all for your support. And thank you to David Marshall for being my vice president. And I would also like to thank Dr. Stefankowitz and Ken. We've had many conversations. At some points, Jim and I would joke that we probably were talking more to each other than we were to our own spouses. It's just been this kind of a year, and I've appreciated you talking me off the ledge sometimes when I've needed it, and you know, I think vice versa.
And vice versa, definitely.
Yeah. So I just wanted to start with that. The next thing I want to talk about is the elephant in the room in the pink shirt and the two gentlemen at home.
Come on, my gym closed.
Yes. Always making us laugh, Mr. Haddon. We are coming to an end of a little bit of an era, losing Mr. Dietrich, not losing, but they're moving on. Mr. Dietrich, Dr. Marshall, as well as Mr. Haddon. You know, it's been a wild ride together. We've been together for a while, and I've appreciated where we started and where we started and where we've ended, and I think our mindset with each other, but also with our friendship. So I do appreciate all of you for your time. I am going to read your resolutions, and unfortunately they're not exactly the same, fortunately or unfortunately, because I felt that I needed to add a couple things in here. So I'm just going to read them, and then we'll get back to you in a minute. So we're going to start with Dr. Marshall, who I don't even see. Is Dr. Marshall? There you are. Did you leave already, Doctor? Oh, there you are.
He's gone.
Okay. So, whereas Dr. Marshall has served our school district with dedication and enthusiasm since 2016, and whereas he has held many positions of importance, including Vice President of the Board of Education for 2020, Chairperson of the Instruction, Education, and Student Activities Committee from 2018 to 2020, Chairperson of the Instruction and Education Committee in 2016 to 2017, Instructional Council Representative in 2019 to 2020. That should be changed, Dr. Marshall. I will get that changed because you did Instructional Council for more years than one, so I apologize I missed that. Co-chairperson of the Technology Committee in 2019 and as a member in 2017, and serving on the Negotiations Committee and the Personnel Committee. Whereas he has long been considered a committed and caring person who has brought knowledge and has been tactful in his decisions through his tenure as a member of the board. He has earned the respect of everyone associated with the Township of Ocean Board of Education for his valued experience and guidance. And now, therefore, be it resolved that Township of Ocean Board of Education hereby expresses its sincere gratitude to Dr. Marshall for his invaluable service to the Board of Education and wishes to extend him all good wishes for health and happiness as he ceases active participation as a member of this board. So, Dr. Marshall, thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. It's been a pleasure serving with you, and as well as all of my fellow board members. I wish you all the best of luck in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say this is much easier to do when you're not sitting here in the room. We'll see how I handle it when I get to him. Okay. Moving on to Mr. Dietrich. So whereas Mr. Dietrich has served our school district with dedication and enthusiasm since 2011, And whereas he has held many positions of importance, including President of the Board of Education for 2017 and Vice President for 2016, Chairperson of the Public Relations Committee from 2018 to 2020, serving on the Financial Management and Resource Services Committee, Negotiations Committee, Instruction and Education, Co-Curricular Student Activities, and Instruction, Education and Technology Committee, and in addition, he served as the Planning and Construction Committee during the district-wide $28.9 million referendum construction project as the chairperson in 2016. And whereas he has long been considered a committed and caring person whose leadership and high standards has remained steadfast through his tenure as a member of the board. He has earned the respect of everyone associated with the Township of Ocean Board of Education for his valued experience and guidance. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Township of Ocean Board of Education hereby expresses its sincere gratitude to Mr. Dietrich for his invaluable service to the Board of Education and wishes to extend him all good wishes for good health and happiness as he ceases active participation as a member of this board.
Well, thank you, Amy. When I saw in the agenda that it was under public relations, I was like, you're really going to have me read my own obituary? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not
But I would
everybody
like-
gets to do that.
Right, right. Okay. And Mr. Haddon, whereas Mr. Haddon has served on our school district with dedication and enthusiasm since 2010. And whereas he has held many positions of importance, including President of the Board of Education for 2016 and Vice President for 2015. Chairperson of the Planning and Construction Committee in 2011 to 2015 and 2018 to 2020, as member during the district-wide $28.9 million referendum construction projects. Chairperson of the Negotiations Committee for 2017 to 2020 as a member. In addition, he served on the Personnel Committee, Finance Management and Resource Management Committee, Technology Committee, Legislative Policy Committee, and the Community Liaison and Communications Committee. And whereas he has been long considered a committed and caring person with undeniable wit and a wicked sense of humor throughout his tenure as a member of this board, he has earned the respect of everyone associated with the Township of Ocean Board of Education for his valued experience and guidance. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Township of Ocean Board of Education hereby expresses its sincere gratitude for Mr. Haddon for his invaluable service to the Board of Education and wishes to extend him all good wishes for good health and happiness as he ceases active participation as a member of this board. So my guess is that the word that the three of you heard the most was ceases. That's my guess out of that whole thing that I just read. But go ahead, Mr.
Well,
Haddon.
you prefaced it with the elephant in the room in the pink shirt. I didn't think I like that too much. No, I want to say my farewell speech for old news. This way everybody can leave before I start it. And if I'm still here, I don't know. So, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. It's been a very been an honor, and I'm very grateful to everybody I served with, and for the town for somehow electing me 4 times. Go figure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So, you know, I would say that I'm not emotional tonight due to the three of you telling me I shouldn't be emotional. So, there we go. But I'm going to just turn it over. I don't know. I guess we can talk in new business, but that's it for me tonight. I'm going to move on to Dr. Stankiewicz. Actually, student representatives before you. Student representatives are actually before you.
That's okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to Gio. And where is... This is so
I don't see Taylor.
I was going to say, I don't see Taylor either. Gio, is it you tonight? Or good?
Yeah, I'll just.
All right. Go ahead.
So, Varsity Club had their first meeting this month and held an Instagram Live yoga session. TSA has a laser printing Christmas tree ornaments. Math Club is having a virtual math competition tomorrow. The class of 2023 class officers is having a Spirit Week. The class of 2021 is fundraising money for the janitors' kids through their Instagram. And the class of 2022 participated in the Allenhurst Beach Sweep cleanup. Thank you. Also, it's kind of concluded, so we just did clubs today.
And surfing competition.
Thanks, Gio. Have a happy holiday. Okay. Now it's up to you, Dr. Stankiewicz.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. So while we are on this honoring mood tonight, this is very exciting. We've gone 16 minutes into this meeting and have not said the word COVID. So that's really good. I'm sure we'll make up for it as we go along. But for right now, I'm going to start my portion of the meeting with the distinct pleasure of honoring our Educators of the Year this year. It was very exciting 3 years ago when, after a long hiatus, the administration worked with the association to once again bring back the Educators of the Year. And there's two different distinctions, one being the Teacher of the Year, and that goes obviously to classroom teachers, and then the Educational Services Professional of the Year, and that's a variety of categories. And we have a very diverse group of folks tonight in terms of different job categories from which they come. And we're very excited to honor these 10 individuals this evening. This process occurred a whole month earlier than it typically does. And you know, in a year, I mean, it's a great honor any year, but I think to get this honor in this year is particularly particular note. So I just want to, I'm going to do the Teachers of the Year first, if that's okay. And it's my understanding, Teachers of the Year, that Mr. Dietrich has enabled to where you'll all be able to give a 5 to 10 minute speech after I give your name. All right, so we'll just hand it to you.
There's
and then
a
just go.
PowerPoint presentation.
And then, no, if you'd like to say, you certainly don't have to say anything, but you can, as simple as, you know, thank you, or, you know, what took so long. One of the two, either one. Okay. So first up, we are going to start with Ocean Township Elementary School. All right. So yeah, Aaron, that means you. We're starting with you. So it is my pleasure to introduce the Teacher of the Year for the Ocean Township Elementary School. She has been in the district for 8 years and teaches this year kindergarten, and that is Erin Leahy. Erin, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And let me also go back up a little bit to say I am so sorry that we are not doing this in person. I really wish we could, but we will do this, and hopefully this, what we are doing virtually tonight, in some way, justifies this honor for you and makes this something special for you. Next up is Wanamasa Elementary School. Being in the district now 15 years, a teacher of an English language learner teacher, my very distinct pleasure to announce Andrea Donner as the Teacher of the Year. Oh, I forgot to do this. Erin, here's your certificate. So I should have sent you guys stuff so you could have gone like, thank you. Okay, Andrea, here's your certificate. All right. We'll get those. They're actual real certificates. See, they say your name on them. I will get them to you folks. All right, next up, from Wayside Elementary School. 16 years in the district, but not a day over 1 year. Teaching first grade, Tracy O'Neill. Congratulations, Tracy. Here's your certificate. Okay.
Oh, I think she wants to unmute Mr. There you go.
This time, thank you.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
all.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay. Next up, from TOIS. 4 years experience in the district. And Alyssa's going to have to sing her thank you, if that's okay, or play it musically. But our band and music teacher from TOIS, Alyssa Ginder. Alyssa, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. And last but not least, from the high school, 13 years in the district, my former neighbor. We used to live across the street from one another, and I'm sure he used to look across, and be like, who's that guy? And oh, now he's the superintendent. Okay. But anyway, so very exciting. From the high school, math teacher, Mr. Mark Willems. Mark, congratulations.
I love his children and family clapping in the background.
Thank you, Doc.
Here's your certificate, Mark, and we'll get it to you. I could say I used to be able to say I drop it in your mailbox, but that's not as easy these days, so I apologize. All right. Next up, we're going to go to our Ed Services Professionals of the Year, and we're going to go back and go back to OTES. And first up will be a person who has been with us 21 years. Actually, that's the winner. Brian, you're the winner of the service award tonight too. So 21 years in the district, instructional coach, Brianne Brannigan. Congratulations, Brianne.
Thank you so much, and I just want to thank everyone in our Ocean Township Elementary School team. Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, next up from Wanamassa Elementary School, 13 years in the district, instructional assistant, Jenna Gilman. Jenna, congratulations.
Thank you.
Also your
I just want to say thank you so much. I love my Wanamassa family. Thank you, Mr. Milano, and I'm so proud for my mom to see me get this award tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, next up from Wayside, almost getting the service award, the runner-up to the service award. 18 years in the district, guidance counselor, Kristen McHugh. Kristen, congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. And Wayside rocks.
They do. They do. All right. Next up from TOIS, 3 years in the district. Who I got a chance to actually spend some time with today virtually, and it's a funny story. Melissa, can I tell the story? Or do you mind? If she's here.
She's here.
She's
she
here?
says sure.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You know what I'm going to say, right? So I have this year. I drew Melissa, or she drew me on the observation list, right? So I've had to observe Melissa now for like a month, and every time we set up a day for me to come and observe her, like the next day we had to close school. So I knew, I felt we were joking back and forth, but the other day when we set up the date for this week, I was not. We were feeling a little iffy about the whole thing. So she emailed me last night. She said, "Just forget it. Just stop. Just forget it. Take me off the list." So anyway, appreciate your patience with that, Melissa. All right. So our school psychologist, one of our school psychologists from TOIS, 3 years in the district, Melissa Grandinetti. Congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you. Sorry for making us all virtual.
Yeah, it is your fault, just so you know.
I'm just going to drop Kylie with you tomorrow, Melissa.
Yeah, it's your fault. Okay, and then last but not least, and I'm not sure if Nan is with us tonight, because I'm not sure, but if not, she is probably on the phone talking with the Regional Health Commission. Oh, she is here. She is here. Very good. I'm very glad to see that. All right. Nan Parise, we could say so much about all of these individuals, but our nurses hold a special place in I think in all of our hearts this year. They're doing amazing work, all of them, and Nan has been with the district 16 years, and nary a day goes by, Nan, that you and I or you and Dawn we're not on the phone talking about things that we would really prefer not to be talking about. So with that, I will say congratulations to Nan Parise, Ed Services Professional of the Year at the high school. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. And I also just want to say that the individuals that were selected were nominated by peers, students, parents, community, and people. Those nominees come together, those nominations come to the principal. The principal puts together a panel, a representative panel of individuals to go through those nominations and select the most deserving person based on the criteria, and it is a it's not an easy process, and there are some districts where they just pick sort of the next person in line in terms of seniority, right? Or they give it to the person who's retiring and walking out the door. We don't do that, and we have so many very deserving people And you can see we have people from various degrees of experience and people from all different grade levels, and also too, I also want to congratulate the nominees in general, because just being nominated for this, even though you may not have been selected, is also a great accomplishment. So congratulations to those folks as well. And I just want to thank you all. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for the work that you do each and every day for our kids. So thank you.
Excuse me, Dr. Spankulis?
Yes.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Andrea.
It's Andrea Donner.
Yes.
When it was my turn, I unmuted my microphone but didn't speak quickly enough before you moved on.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So, that's okay. I just want to thank you very much for the honor, thank the people who nominated me, and say that it is especially easy to shine when you're in a school like ours with a very supportive environment. So I appreciate my coworkers very much, and I'm very humbled by this experience.
Thank you, Andrea. It's great. Thank you very much. Outstanding. So, just another great. This is the good stuff. This is what we don't do enough of as we used to.
That's what should conclude
in the
my
olden
report.
days.
Yeah.
In the olden days, I wish I could say that concludes my report exactly. But a couple other things we need to discuss and go over tonight. So, unfortunately, we have reached that place again where we need to place all of our schools on all remote, which I know is extremely disappointing for many people. And we tried really hard, not to have to go in that direction, but unfortunately, the over the last couple of days and really today, at a few of the elementary schools, we just reached that place, and in conversations with the Regional Health Commission, it was absolutely their recommendation to unfortunately go there. So. We need to transition to that. Tomorrow was a regular all remote day already, so we'll continue to be that early dismissal all remote day tomorrow. And then we will follow, our regular full day schedules on Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and then of course we go to winter break a week from tomorrow. A well-deserved winter break for all, and in a year that has been absolutely unlike any other. We will be having, we've been having administrative conversations, and we are going to make some decisions about the week after winter break. Right now, administratively, we do feel that similar to after Halloween, after Thanksgiving, where we did see significant activity as far as COVID, that, not returning on the 4th and returning, on the 11th would be a more wise option at this time. So, let the board know and let the public know that is something we are thinking about, and we will be putting something out in the next day or so that will confirm whether we're going to go in that direction. But we certainly, and we're also keeping, in the meantime, we're keeping an eye on the weekly activity reports, and we are still in the orange. So there's no mandated, statewide New Jersey Department of Health closing at this point. But that's kind of where we are. We're in that place where it's a lot of wait and see. So I think if you were to ask me, I think it is more likely than not that we will not, that we will be back here on the 4th. It is probably more likely that we're looking to probably come back on the 11th. But we'll firm that up in the next.
Remote the 4th through 11th. You're saying.
Yeah, being remote that week. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we will return to school. Just
wanted to clarify because some people are going like.
I'm actually suspending the entire school year. We're done. We're good. No. So there's that. So then, of course, it brings up the next big question that I've gotten a few emails on today, which is on everybody's mind, is what about snow days? What are we going to do about snow days? The good news is that we're only supposed to get about an inch of snow. So I don't know if that's an issue, but about 10 miles west of here could get a foot. So we're keeping an eye on things, but it is absolutely administratively it is unanimous that we believe that we should still conduct those days as remote learning days, unless we had a situation where we were dealing with mass power outage or something like that. Obviously, power outages would create a whole different scenario. But so no more snow days. Now we're dealing with power outage days. I just want to remind, the purpose of the snow day is not for the kids to go out and play in the snow. The purpose of the snow day is to help, prevent people from having to travel. It's a safety issue. It's a safety concern, obviously. That being said, it is a time-honored tradition for students, for kids to love the snow day, to wake up in the morning and not expect snow or whatever it may be. I don't know, these days we seem to call snow days 4 days in advance anymore, but back in the olden days, back in the 70s and 80s when I grew up, I used to love waking up and, with the prediction of snow the night before and wondering whether it would happen and then always being incredibly disappointed when there was nothing out. But anyway, so, we still understand and appreciate that. So, if we had a situation where we had snow, not an inch of snow maybe, but snow, and we potentially would have closed anyway, then we still think that we would have a remote day, but perhaps we would do an early dismissal remote day on that situation so that you hear it, let the kids be kids. Absolutely. Kids can get out a little bit earlier, they can go out and they can enjoy enjoy the weather. But for right now, this storm, at least the predictions for us here in Ocean, doesn't look like something that we might even necessarily close school for, maybe a delayed opening or something like that. So we'll see, but what we can say is that it will definitely be a remote day. And whether, as of right now, it's a full day, remote day, and then we'll see what the conditions bring and go from there. But that is our thought. And there was a poll put out in the county, because there are a lot of different feelings about this. I've heard some people say, we don't want to take the magic of the snow day away, right? And we did build in snow days into the calendar prior to knowing that any of this would be an issue. Speaking for a number of people I've spoken to, they would much prefer not to use these days so as to get the heck out of this school year as quickly as we possibly can, taking days off the end of the year. But we'll see. If we're ever really, hit very hard with a foot snowstorm or something like that, we'll evaluate. But I think as a general rule of thumb, we'll look at these being, remote days. So that's. Oh, but anyway, I was speaking to the poll. There were, it was just asked in the county, what are you doing in this instance? And we had there were 20 responses, including us, and 15 of the 20 are going to have some form of remote day. 5 of the 20 districts were taking the snow day until any built-in days were used up, and then it was going to be, now we're going to do remote days. So nobody was interested in extending their year. In other words, if they built in 3 days and then they took 5 days, they weren't taking 5 snow days. They were going to take 3. So, and this is one early in the year. I'm sure we'll have other opportunities as the year go on. But for right now, I think that's our mind. That's our mindset. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or questions about that, or that's where we are.
Okay.
No?
Anybody?
Okay. And we'll keep an eye. These storms are tricky, and right, there really is. It's a very sharp gradient between what's going to be very little and what's going to be a lot. This thing shifts a little bit to the south and east, and we could have a foot of snow, and then the kids will enjoy blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 in watching the snowfall from the no. Okay, and then the last thing I just wanted to mention was we did 12 months, 9 months later in the making, we did finish our strategic planning process for OTES. Well, not finish. We held the 3rd meeting last night, yesterday afternoon and last night, and I think overall they went well. Good discussions took place. And so now the process, the groups that met will send the information that they collected and the thoughts that they had collected to Ms. Weinkoff, and then that information will be provided to Ms. Lepoznik at OTES, Ms. Zona in the Special Services Department, and they will work with a team of individuals, a parent, it'll be a group of parents, staff, community, to work on action plans from all of the information gathered, and that we anticipate that will be presented here, that Kathy will come hopefully at our meeting in January, if not early February, but we're hopeful at that our regular meeting in January to present the plans at that point. So I know there were a couple board members, we had a few board members at each meeting last night, and so we're happy that third meeting has taken place after all these months, and now we can finish that process.
Okay.
So I think for now, that's where we are.
All right.
Okay.
So that concludes your report.
That is correct.
All right. Mr. Janaron.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the impending weather for a minute. And just in reference to our food distribution, we are going to, for the public's knowledge, and we will, I think we blasted this out today, and we'll continue to do that a little bit tomorrow on social media. We're going to move up the food distribution tomorrow as far as the hours go. We usually go from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m., and we're going to move it to 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., just to try to get everyone out of the impending rain, slush, snow, and high winds. So we're just sliding it up just a little bit to try to get everyone out of there a little bit earlier, and also give the families time after the elementary school is done with their all remote, and still be able to get over to the different locations for the food distribution. So I want to mention that. Also, along the same lines, the December 23rd and December 30th, the next 2 Wednesdays, they will also be, we will also do food distribution, and they will be at the normal times from 12 to 3. So over winter break, the food distribution is still available to the community. So that's important for everyone to know. And then also, we are increasing, the USDA is allowing us to increase food to weekends. So now the food bags can include up to 7 days of food to encompass the weekends for families. So that's also a good thing. So Sodexo is working hard on preparing that, and so that will begin tomorrow with the option of 7 days of food. So that's a quick update on our food distribution. So that's a good thing. And if there aren't any questions, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Janaron. Anybody have questions? Okay. Sorry, my computer's slow. Okay. The following are a series of motions to be read by the committee chairpersons. All motions have been discussed at recent public work sessions. Some motions have been approved at a public work session, and the minutes for approved items are posted on the district website. At this point in the meeting, we will now conduct the first of 2 public comment sessions. The first session will be open for public comments on agenda items only, and the second session will be at the end of the meeting and can be on any topic. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any agenda item at this time? Mr. Dietrich, if you have a question, please let Mr. Dietrich know, and he will let you know. He will call you in order. Sorry, I mean let you know.
Okay, first up is Alex Hayes.
Okay.
You're in.
I was just going to say, if I'm the first, I must be the only. Okay, Now Avenue, with a lot of people on tonight. I thought there would be more folks talking. Can you let us know, and I'm sure Mrs. Lepoznik has this too, Dr. Spankwitz, how many non-staff went to the 3:30 strategic meeting yesterday? Obviously, I was working. I didn't get to it. I went to the special ed one, but not.
Right.
A lot of people at that one.
I don't have the list in front of me. I think I'm going off of memory, Alex. I think we had, the full breakdown is we had 35 people signed up when it was all said and done. I think we had 23 that actually attended, and I think it was either 12 or 13 parents had signed up, and I think 6 or 7 attended, something like that. Melissa, do you remember? Do you
Yes,
know?
that was about it. I think there were about 7 parents that actually attended from those that had signed up.
Correct.
So like parents and like 14 staff or so.
Yeah, we had a couple. We had 2 board members. We had a couple community members, and the rest were staff. Yes.
Okay. Okay, and sorry, I'm just looking for. And maybe you'll talk about this later, Mr. General, but can you go over the carryover money and just kind of like relate it to parents of the EA and the Title 1 through 3, that extra money? Like, where does that go? Is that almost like finding extra money at the end of the year and you put it in a new pot or something? It's hard to decipher that.
You want me to answer that?
Mike, Alan, would you like to?
I didn't know where it went or where.
Either one, yeah.
It's carryover funds from last year's ESEA grant, which is some of the non-public schools maybe not using all of their funds. So it carries over into this school year and it gets distributed amongst Ocean Township and also our non-public schools again, get their percentage of the portion.
It's basically just an extension of time to utilize the funds.
Okay, that's a good thing though, right? It's almost like we must have saved money somewhere and then now we're getting 30,001.
Mr. General does not allow us to have any extra for our funds to be carried over, but the non-public.
We would never want to give anything back, so if you don't utilize the carryover, technically you would have to give it back to the state. So that's why it's a small amount that we have carryover, and then we utilize those monies first so that we never are in a position to have to give anything back. We would never want to do that.
Never do that.
Okay. And I have 2 other quick questions, I promise. Fantastic news about the weekend food for the kids that are using it. And Sodexo has, has been good about changing the menu, but with few exceptions, it's kind of been the same kind of food week to week. And I know Jackie's awesome over at Sodexo, and she's always looking for new foods to buy or what's in season. But I would just be a little worried that, we're getting 7 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, 7 frozen pizzas, 7 Fruit Loops. So, kids are eating the exact same food. So do we know if there's going to be any new variations with this expanded food service?
I can
follow up with Jackie too tomorrow, but.
Yeah, and I'm sure she, like you said, she's always, she's been talking about that, and we've been talking about that for, since March, and it's made a lot of progress. I think you would agree on some of the food, the quality and reheating a lot of the strides they made. So I sure she'll continue that, and I'll follow up, and of course you always can also. So.
Okay. The laser ornaments that the high schooler mentioned in his report, are those for sale? That the community can get them?
I don't know if Gio's still here. If John doesn't know, Alex, I can reach out to the Mrs. Paneros to find out for you. I'll send you a message.
That would be cool, because I think that if they are, that would be awesome. And I think this is my last question. Dr. Stefankowitz, the letter today mentioned COVID activity at the elementary schools. And I got a couple of texts from parents saying, what does activity mean? And I'm presuming it's folks who maybe called and said their kids are sick, so they're going to get tested for their presumed positive. So is that the case?
Yeah, it's all of the above. It's new positives, it's presumed positives, it's what you just described. My computer's out, so am I on? My computer's
We can
out.
hear. Yeah, you're still
Okay,
on.
okay. Just want to make sure I can be heard. Yeah. It's all the above, and we're still. By the time I wanted to get the letter out, so we're really still sifting through everything. So we'll be able to get out the details tomorrow. And any it's my understanding that any contacts or anything should have been contacted today. I'd have to confirm that, but we'll get the details out on those situations tomorrow.
Okay. I think that's all.
All right. Thank you.
There's nobody after me?
One.
Go ahead, Mr. Dietrich.
Okay, next up is Denise Bond. Go ahead, Denise.
Hi, this is just a comment, so I'll be quick. Alex, you can go back, okay? So I just want to congratulate Mrs. Leahy on her award. We feel that that is well deserved. This is coming from, autumn and of course April. She would be here with me right now to say congratulations, but of course she's not here. But I just want to say that last year when I was sick in the hospital, I felt very comfortable having Erin as a teacher for my daughter, because she also had my daughter April. And she went above and beyond to help us after I came home from the hospital. And we will always appreciate that. And my daughter talks about you all the time. I wish, she would have had the opportunity to say goodbye to you, because as you know, she's transferring to a private school on January 4th, because I have to do what's best for my kid. I wish I could do it for all four, but right now, at least I could do it for my youngest. But basically, I just want to congratulate Erin. She is a phenomenal teacher and person and everything. So that's coming from all of us. Sorry, I'm like in tears. I feel like I've known her a long time. Well, I have. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Erin, did you? Erin can't unmute. Jim, can you just unmute Erin Leahy for a second?
I can.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Erin.
I just wanted to say thank you, Mrs. Bond. I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dietrich?
All right, we're going back to Alex.
All right. A quick question on even Sandy's Facebook group. Like a half dozen parents had said that they had not gotten the emails for the school closures. And even one of them was my friend in Manassa, who literally was at the bus stop for her middle schooler this morning because she didn't get the email. And it's like people just dropped off and we're getting them up till yesterday, but then they didn't get them. So have you heard any, telling you, are we double checking the list, or is there any kind of issues today with it?
I can answer that actually. Because I can tell you, Alex, it actually happened to me as well.
It might have been a Google issue.
And it was a Google issue. So it was with the constant contact and Google issue, because I followed up to make sure I was still on the list, and I am. And I never got the email as well. So.
And we did a call yesterday.
No, you did a call, but the actual email that went out from you stating everything didn't go to a lot of things. And Ms. Hayes, I got a text message that says that you can contact the Technology School Club at the high school, and that is who's selling those ornaments.
I will, thank you.
I thought they could sign up for a backpack with them too.
Oh, you can sign up for backpack.
But also I would just say that if someone's having an issue with Web Backpack, that they should contact their school to make sure that they're signed up, and if they have to drop out and then re-sign up for Backpack, because obviously something. But that might have been
But I will say,
Google
Alex,
problem.
also maybe ask them, because I did get the email this afternoon from Dr. Spankowitz, so it kicked back. It must have kicked back in.
Yesterday's email today?
No,
Or
and I didn't
today's
get
email?
yesterday's still, but I got tonight's email. I did get in my email, so I think it was a whole Google problem. All right. Anything else, Mr. Dietrich?
That is it.
Okay. Going to move on to the approval of minutes and the action
wait,
item.
wait. I had the last second one. I didn't see it.
Sorry.
Hold on. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Thanks. I just wanted to comment on that I actually got the email yesterday but didn't get it today. So something's going on.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. We'll see if we can check into it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, no problem.
I would contact the school and we can hook you up with the help desk and see what's going on there.
Thanks.
Okay. Is that it, Mr. Dietrich?
That is it.
Okay. All right, moving on to action items. The approval of minutes. Dr. Marshall.
Thank you, Ms. McGovern. I'd like to move to approve the meeting minutes in accordance with Board of Education bylaws for the work meeting and executive session minutes of December 8th, 2020. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any comments, corrections, questions regarding the December 8th minutes? No. Okay, hearing none. Ken?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion carries.
Okay, moving on to the policies and regulations, 6.3 and 6.4. Mr. Donneron.
I'm going to do the bills.
I'm sorry, I skipped the bills. Approval of bills, Mrs. Fuller. Excuse me.
Move for the approval of the following paid items as detailed below, totaling $6,981,228.27. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Donneron?
Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mrs. Parlamas?
Yes.
Mrs. Talarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGovern?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, Mrs. Fuller. Thank you. Moving on to 6.3 and 6.4. Now, Mr. Donneron.
Okay, as everyone knows, our last two workshop meetings have been reviewing policy. So this is the following, the final reading, I should say, for both groups of these policies. So if there, any further discussion can take place, and then it's just on the floor for a motion and a second, and then a roll call.
Okay. I'll make the motion. Move to approve the final reading of revision. Oh, sorry, Grace Ann, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just have a question about the crisis one. I sent an email during the week, just on the points that I brought up in the last meeting, and I was just wondering if there are any updates to those. It doesn't seem like they're part of the revision. Specifically adding the sexual assault, and a great topics, but staffing and an update to review the OSHA Cares procedures with a date once we're also reviewing the policy. And I also asked for the insert on substance abuse, and I didn't get it.
But I thought that was, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Grace Ann, I forwarded your email to Mrs. Kasuba to address some of those things, but those things are not, and Ken, maybe this is what you were going to say, that's part of the operational plan, not part of the policy. So is that what you were going to say, Ken?
Yes. The policy refers to the plan, so we can still make adjustments to the plan, and the policy can stay as is.
Correct.
So it wouldn't be in the policy, it would be in the revision of the plan in which the policy refers to the plans. Does that make sense?
Yes, but how would we know that the plans were updated if it's not in the policy? How many years it gets reviewed? I'm just a little confused.
Well, the plan is
Well,
usually, I'm sorry.
Yearly.
Yeah, it's a yearly update, but some of those things we can look to update, sooner than later. We don't have to wait the full year. But it's typically updated on a yearly basis.
But that was also wouldn't come to the board to vote on, but the information will be given to you as soon as they make the changes.
Yeah, so the administration can look at it in your suggestions, and then we can gather that information and bring it back to a workshop meeting to discuss what'll be changed or reasons for not change and so on.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. So I move to approve the final reading of revisions to following policies and regulations as listed in 6.3. And I move to approve the second and final reading of revisions to the following policies and regulations in 6.4. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. General?
I'm sorry, who was the second? Was that Mr. Weinstein?
I already had it first.
I think it's Mrs. Gilman.
That's fine.
Either one.
Gilman?
Yeah.
Tie goes to the person closer, possibly.
Well, closer to Ken
I'm
or
not sure
closer to
I'm not sure who's
you?
closer to Ken right now.
Closer to you.
Okay. Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
Yes.
Ms. Parlanos?
Yes.
Ms. Tallarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes.
And Ms. McGovern?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. General. Thank you. Moving on to financial management and resource services, Mrs. Gilman.
Yes, Mrs. McGovern, there are 13 items for our consideration this evening.
You don't have to unmute. Did you unmute yourself?
I did not unmute.
Huh. Okay, go ahead. Maybe it was Ken's feedback. Go ahead.
7.1, acceptance and certification of monthly financial reports. The following resolution certifies that budget balances at the end of November 2020 were adequate to pay all remaining obligations of the 2020-2021 school year, and that account groupings required by the state have adequate balances. The board is also certifying that the independent reports of the treasurer and the business office are in agreement. The Township of Ocean Board of Ed hereby accepts the board secretary's report and treasurer of school monies report, which said reports are in agreement for the month ending November 2020 as listed below. 7.2 transfers. The following motion is to transfer monies from one account in the budget to another and provide the adequate balances referred to in the first motion. Move for approval of the attached resolution dated November 2020 covering appropriation transfers in the 2020-2021 General Fund 10. Said transfers shall result in no change in the total original appropriations. 7.3 security drills report for November 2020. Move to approve the following security drills for the month of November 2020 as listed below. Fire drills, tabletop evacuation, active shooter lockdown, bomb threat drills. 7.4 jointure agreement with Monmouth Regional High School Board of Ed. Move to approve the Township of Ocean School District in a transportation jointure agreement with Monmouth Regional High School Board of Ed. The Township of Ocean Board of Education will act as host for ALPS, biotech, and rugby schools, while Monmouth Regional High School Board of Ed will act as host for CPC Collier as listed below. 7.5 jointure agreement with Neptune Township Board of Ed. Move to approve the Township of Ocean School District in a transportation jointure agreement with Neptune Township Board of Education with the Township of Ocean Board of Education to act as host as follows for biotech. 7.6 jointure agreement revised for Long Branch Board of Ed. Move to approve the revision to a transportation jointure agreement with Long Branch Board of Education. The Township of Ocean Board of Education has acted as host as follows for the Shore Center. The original terms of the jointure agreement was that board approved on 10/27/20 was for the period of 9/8/20 to 6/17/21 at the joiner's cost of $10,825. 7.7 accidental and personal indemnity insurance policy. Move to approve the following companies to provide optional accidental and personal sickness indemnity and life insurance policy coverage for all district employees at their own expense for the calendar year 2021 as listed below. 7.8 approval of tax shelter annuity 403B, Section 529 college savings plan companies, and Section 457 plans. Move to approve the following companies and standard sharing and hold harmless agreements per IRS regulations. To provide tax sheltered annuity 403B, Section 529 college savings services, and Section 457 plans to all district employees for the calendar year 2021 with Omni Group serving as the third-party administrator for the groups listed below. 7.9, the Cafeteria 125 Plan. Move to accept the annual approval of the school district Cafeteria 125 Plan. The plan allows for the carryover of up to $500 of unused balances to the next year with a total contribution limit of $2,750. 7.10, an amendment of the IDEA carryover. Move to approve the FY21 IDEA grant in the amount of $26,135 under IDEA Basic in order to utilize the carryover funds from the FY20 project period. This notification is required under IDEA Basic Compliance Regulations. 7.11 ESEA NCLB carryover. Move to approve the FY21 Elementary and Secondary Education Act ESEA grant in order to utilize the carryover funds from the FY20 project period as noted below. This notification is required under ESEA compliance regulations. 7.12 SONJ UCS grant for 2020-2021. Move to accept the Special Olympics New Jersey's 2020-2021 Unified Champion Schools grant of $13,700 awarded to Ocean Township High School and Intermediate School as per the attached. 7.13, the American Academy of Dermatology Shade Structure Grant Program application. Move to approve the submission of the American Academy of Dermatology Shade Structure Grant Program application. If successful, this grant would fund $8,000 of the purchase of a permanent shade structure at the Township of Ocean Intermediate School new playground area. Mr. Janaron, have information to provide?
Okay, so 7.1 through 7.11 are either our normal monthly approvals or resolutions, and/or have been on our previous workshop meetings where discussion has taken place. But I do want to highlight 7.12. We had originally approved the submission of this grant, and if you remember, Mrs. Zona had come to a board meeting and given a little presentation on the application. And I'm happy to say that we did receive the grant from the application, and the work Ms. Zona did. And so that's a good thing. $13,700 for this program will be going forward. So that's a great thing. And then 7.13 is a application that will be going in for another grant. And I want to thank Ms. Hayes and the OT PTA last year. They brought this grant to our attention, and it's been on the tickler file for a little while. So they may be also applying for it. So we're going to maybe try to coordinate a little bit, and who knows, maybe we'll both get it. But I thought there was an opportunity for this with the new playground that was in the budget, and hopefully we'll be able to award that project for the spring, and hopefully students will be able to be here in person to utilize the playground by the spring. And so this is a good thing. That's an $8,000 grant that may help with the cost of the intermediate school playground that's helping the fifth grade, so on the fifth grade side. So any questions on any of those items, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Janaron, for the Special Olympics, as part of the grant, it says that we will establish a unified leadership team and have a district liaison as the primary contact for the Special Olympics of New Jersey, submitting monthly, midterm, and final reports as far as spending. Have we given any thought yet to who that liaison will be, or the unified leadership team?
Sure, Ms. Zona can answer. Of course, anything to do with the financial part, I would work with the person that would be doing that. So I don't know if Jen, or if you're on, and you can clarify that.
Yes, I'm sorry. This has been an ongoing process. We did talk about posting for that position, and it would be a stipend that was included in that grant.
Right.
It's been a while, Ken, so, and you've got it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Sorry, yeah.
So it will be a posted position and a paid stipend.
Correct. So of course, now that that was in the original grant application, and now that we received the grant, so then the next thing after acceptance of the grant would be to post for those positions, the stipend positions for teachers.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the board? All right, so this items 1 through 13, so we still need a second, I believe. We had first from Mrs. Gilman. Is there a second on the floor?
Mrs. Fuller.
So Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Fuller?
Sorry, Ken. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. Finance items 1 through 13, Mr. Dietrich.
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Parlamas?
Yes.
Ms. Tallarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes.
And Ms. McGovern?
Yes.
Okay, the motion is carried.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Moving on to planning and construction, Mr. Haddon.
Thank you, Madam President. I have one item. Move to approve the award of a professional service contract for architectural and engineering services for the solar project RFP to Spiesel Architectural Group. We'll like the project as the architectural and engineering services to prepare a district-wide RFP for a solar project for the lump sum of $29,900.
Okay.
Mr. General, you want to discuss any details on that? Or you think we covered it?
I think we've covered most of it. I just did want to say, of course, this is for the professional services, so the options on this project will come back to the board for discussion based on the results of the proposals that we receive in from different contractors. So there will be further discussion, detailed discussion on this project, but I did want to say even choosing the professional services was difficult, very close, and both the two final architectural firms were very close, and both of them were very good. And I just think that Spiesel Architectural gave just a hair better in the overall services that they provide. That I think will hopefully it'll work out. So I just wanted to say that. And if there are any questions on that? Nope.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second. Okay, Mr. Dietrich? Yes. Mrs. Fuller?
I actually need to recuse myself from this vote as I work with Spiesel professionally.
Okay, Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mrs. Parlamas?
Yes, I too would like to recuse myself.
Okay, so it's not a yes, it's you're abstaining on the vote?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Tallarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGovern?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 702.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Haddon. Moving on to instruction, education, and student activities, Dr. Marshall.
Thank you, Ms. McGovern. I have 6 items this evening. Item 1, I move to approve the request of students to fulfill their clinical practice requirements during the 2020-2021 school year in accordance with the attached memo dated December 3rd and December 10th. Number 2, I move to approve the request of college students to complete internships during the 2020-2021 school year in accordance with the attached memo dated December 3rd, 2020. Number 3, I move to approve the request of a student to fulfill her early field practice hours during the 2020-2021 school year in accordance with the attached memo dated December 3rd. Item 4, move to approve an addendum to out-of-district private tuition for the 2020-2021 school year in accordance with the attached memo dated December 10th. Item 5, I move to affirm the district's out-of-school suspension report for the month of November 2020. And lastly, I move to affirm the following harassment, intimidation, and bullying incident summary report for the 2020-2021 school year. And this is the HIB report number 2, presented December 1st, 2020 to the board. Can I have a second, please, on items 1 through 6?
Second.
Ken?
I'm sorry, who was that? Mrs. McGovern?
No, Ms. Parlamas.
Parlamas.
Parlamas? Okay. Okay, Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Adam?
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
A yes to items 3 through 6. Items 1 and 2, I recuse myself as it pertains to Monmouth University.
And Mrs. Parlamas?
Yes.
Ms. Talarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes to 9.3 to 9.6, and I'll recuse myself from my affiliation with Monmouth University.
And Mrs. McGovern?
Yes.
Okay, all the motions carried.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall. Moving on to personnel, Mrs. Parlamas.
Thank you, Mrs. McGovern. I have 9 motions this evening. First, I'd like to move to approve an unpaid family leave of absence for Lindsay Goldberg, elementary teacher at Wanamassa, at the conclusion of her eligible sick leave, which is approximately February 10th through May 12th, 2021. Number 2, move to approve an unpaid family leave of absence for Kristen McKenna, educational technology teaching specialist at Wayside, at the conclusion of her eligible sick leave, which is approximately April 8th through June 30th, 2021. 10.3, move to approve an unpaid family leave of absence for Kathleen Andruski, special ed teacher at the high school beginning January 4th through January 17th, 2021. 10.4, move to approve a tenure recommendation for a teacher eligible for tenure during the period of January 1st through June 30th, 2021 as listed below. 10.5, move to approve the retirement of Ann Michelson, instructional assistant at Wanamassa. 10.6, move to approve the following employee transfer: Joseph DeAngelis from instructional assistant Wayside to instructional assistant OTES. 10.7, move to approve substitute teachers as listed. 10.8, move to approve that Darianne Mastrocola, guidance counselor at the high school, and the actual start date is February 23rd, 2021. 10.9, move to approve the request of 44 staff members to take leaves under the FFCRA. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Janneron.
Okay, Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Adam?
That was me.
Yes.
Dr. Marshall?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas?
Yes.
Talarico?
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yes.
And Ms. McGovern?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
Thank you, Mrs. Parlamas. Moving on to public relations. Mr. Dietrich, do you want to read them again?
No, I don't. I move to approve the resolutions honoring the following outgoing Board of Education members as read by Mrs. McGovern earlier.
I second that, and I hope that the 3 of you remember how to vote on this.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Janneron, would you call the roll for me one last time?
Did we have a second?
Second.
I
Mrs.
seconded.
McGovern did.
I
I'm
did.
sorry. Okay, Ms.
Mrs. Fuller was so excited to second this. She Go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Dietrich?
I'm going to say yes to all 3.
Okay, Ms. Fuller?
Yes, and I will miss all of you and thank you very much for your service. It's been a pleasure.
Mr. Gilman?
Yes, and best wishes to all the board members leaving.
Mr. Haddon?
I will vote yes on all three. Gentlemen, I tried to talk you into staying, but you could have worked 10 years here. It's didn't have to be cut off at 5, but that's all right. People quit sometimes. I vote yes.
Just vote yes.
Dr. Marshall?
All right, I'll do this properly. I vote yes to approve Mr. Dietrich's and Mr. Haddon's resolutions, and I will recuse myself from my...
Thank you, Dr. Marshall.
One honorable man in the bunch.
Mr. Parlams?
I vote yes. I would like to tell all three people that it has truly been an honor and a pleasure. I have been here a long time, as many of you already know, and I have learned something from all three of you. So I appreciate your services, and you will really, really be missed. So
which one of us was your favorite?
Joe, you were in the top 3.
It's always you, Joe.
Mrs. Talarico?
I vote yes. I just want to thank them all for their service and to wish them all happy holidays.
Yeah. Mr. Weinstein?
Yeah, I just want to thank all three of them for the last couple of years of good conversations, some good laughs, a couple of scotches, and really just a nice camaraderie. So I just want to thank you guys for that. And yes, I'm in favor of that.
Okay, and Ms. McGovern?
I think I said all I have to say earlier. I vote yes, and just thank you again for all of your service. I think I calculated it earlier, and it's 23 years between the three of you, so I appreciate all your service.
Almost as much as Mrs. Perlis.
The three of you don't even... All right. So moving on. Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. Moving on to technology. Mr. Weinstein.
Thanks, Ms. McGovern. This is really more of a quick summary of a follow-up to some meetings that I believe we had in September, October. So there's a couple areas. One area is that we did a survey for all the teachers really about the use of the webcams. We got about 80 or so responses. I believe we feel like we addressed all the requests that were made. And it was really coming down to positioning of tripods, second monitors, and really the setup of the classroom that we spent, that our team spent most of the time on. I think in Ken's wisdom, right after the issues became known, he ordered a bunch of tripods right after the meeting to make sure we had them in place, so we were able to address the responses to the survey. So we had about 80 or so responses. From talking to the principals, the feedback has been good, and it feels like that a lot of these issues got resolved. And during the open comment, if any of the teachers felt like they wanted to say anything about it, feel free. The other items were about the Chromebooks and the laptops. So as we know, we rolled out new Chromebooks for the 5th and 9th graders. We were a little bit late on getting them because they were in back order, but most of those have been given out. Really the delays are from kids who decided to go remote since the beginning of the year and haven't come into school. So I guess they don't want to get their new Chromebooks. They want to stay with what's been proven and don't want to have to mess around with that. 80% of the laptops for the teachers in the elementary schools have been delivered. We still have some back orders due to Dell that we have not received those. And I think that was probably it for the follow-up on that meeting in September and October.
Okay.
Kelly and Ken, did I do the follow-up justice?
I just wanted to jump in for a second, if I could, and just really thank Mike Hall and his team for really getting out there and installing all the extensions on the webcams, the tripods, the additional monitors. As Mr. Weinstein said, there are also speakers, and the additional technology and working with the teachers to try to do the best we could with the technology situation and remote learning. So I think we finally have gotten to a pretty good place. I'm sure Kelly can expand on that, but there's a lot of work that went into it from the tech team, so I just want to acknowledge all their hard work.
Absolutely. The feedback from teachers, right after that survey and after Mike's team got out there and started adjusting the webcam mount, we heard a tremendous amount of positive feedback from teachers. Some took the time to individually email me and let me know what a difference that made. Others, stopped their principals in the hallways or just let Pat O'Neill know or their own supervisor. But we definitely did hear a swell of positive feedback after, some negative feedback around those webcams. So we're pleased that is now a working tool in most classrooms. We still get a couple requests here and there, so we are still very able and willing to make adjustments to any teacher's setup. But now with a second monitor, speakers, a longer mounting pole, and/or a tripod, teachers really are in a better position to engage students both in the classroom and at home. And that has been their report back to us. So we're very happy about that.
And I forgot to mention but I did attach a few pictures for the board and the public, and that you can peruse, or Jim, if you want to throw them up there, they're attached to this report. You should be able to see them, hopefully.
We can see them. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Weinstein and
Thank you,
Mr. Janneron and Ms. Weldon. And we will move on now to any old business from the board. Does anyone have any old business?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk now.
Okay.
If you need to get a beer or something, this might be the moment to do that. It's going to be harder than I thought, but people have been asking kids forever, what do you want to be when you grow up? And never, ever in the history of kids has one kid ever said, I want to be on the Board of Education. Despite this glamorous send-off I'm getting, they never say that. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a baseball player. And actually, the Mets were so bad for a number of years, up until a couple of years ago, I was half expecting a phone call. But I never quite made it. But I have spent the last 10 years serving on this team of 9, so it kind of fits. And I'm very proud of the work we've done. Like any team, we've had good years, we've had tough years. I've had teammates I really liked, teammates I barely tolerated, and it's been a heck of a run. And it's part of the disappointing thing about moving forward that we've seen people, actually it goes back even when I was first running, that people will run for the school seat on the guise of I'm going to fix what's wrong with the school, or they're setting your tax dollars on fire. I heard that one. They don't know what they're doing. They're in cahoots, things like that. And while I have been at times described as arrogant and rude, a bully, justifiably so, when I first ran for the board, I will not forget, I was in this room and I had to state why I was running. And it still holds true that, I'm not a religious guy, but I am still so very grateful to the teachers and the staff that performed hundreds of small miracles with and for my children. And I ran for the school board because if I could be part of that process that helps that along, not only for my kids, because they were still in school at the time, but for other children, then that would be worthwhile. And I do believe that I was part of such a process. I'm very proud to have been part of that process. And we have got a lot of good things done. People don't always agree with what you do, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to keep moving forward despite criticism and second guessing and that sort of thing. So I thank everybody who served with me. I correct that. I thank most of the people who served with me. Some people sadly didn't serve long enough, Some people sadly serve too long. One person served 3 years in prison, so it's a hell of a group. But this has been an incredible experience. To people coming on board, I congratulate you for getting the votes required to take a seat with this group. I wish you the best of luck. To everybody who sits on this board moving forward, you have my phone number. If you want to pick my brain, it's there to be picked. It would have to be done somewhere where we could have drinks, obviously, because I'm not just going to give out free advice. But again, I want to thank everybody. I have already reached out to former board members and thanked them. I know that if I tried to thank everybody tonight, I would leave somebody out and they would have hurt feelings, or I would include everybody, and the people I did leave out would realize I really didn't like them that much, and I don't need that aggravation. So, I thank John Lisco, who's the superintendent pretty much when I first got here. Ken Janneron has been the business administrator my entire tenure here, and this skinny guy from Philadelphia who has bad taste in sports teams. And I am honored to have sat here and worked with all of you people. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Joe. I would just like to clarify that the 3 years in prison was not while she was serving on the board.
What's that?
I just want to clarify that the 3 years in prison were not while she was serving on the
And
board.
no one currently sitting in this room.
And no one currently sitting
That we know
in
of.
this room.
She's in remote and from jail.
Oh my goodness, she's out of jail. Okay. Any other old business?
I just wanted to just kind of say thanks to Amy for to being the president this past year. I know it was a tough time to be it and some tough things, and I thought that you were always available and was a good voice of reason. So I just wanted to thank you for all you did and just congratulations on a job well done.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I second that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other old business? No. Okay. Any new business from the board? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment on any item at this time. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any item at this time? Mr. Dietrich? You're muted, Mr. Dietrich.
We're going to give a shot to Mr. Riley.
Okay.
Give it a shot, Mike.
No.
Again?
Oh, man.
All right, Mike, we have another person, so why don't you try the iPad while I bring the other person in?
Mike, do you want to call my cell? You can speak over the phone and I can play it.
I'll do the iPad. In the meantime, let's go to Pam Gutman.
Okay.
And let me get you off mute. Go ahead, Pam.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. I just have 3 questions. My first question is, for some of my, I'm trying to do this, okay, for teachers that took family leave because of COVID that exhausted the FR, whatever those letters are they going to be allowed, if they choose, to teach remotely while we're remote?
If they're on FFCRA now?
No.
Not on the FRCCA or whatever that is. If they're on family leave of absence, can they come back from family leave of absence if they choose to, or medical leave of absence?
Do you mean rescind their leave?
Correct.
Yeah, we could consider that, depending on the circumstances. I mean, if they're on a long-term leave and we're only on remote for 2 weeks, I don't know that would make sense if we have someone, in place covering them. But, like for example, last year in the spring, we had people who were on long-term leaves and we were on a long-term remote situation, and some of those people rescinded their leaves and we approved those and they were able to teach remotely.
Okay. My second question is, I know that we're out at least through the end of this calendar year. Do parents still have the option for the rest of the school year to, if we decide we want to keep our kids remote, to do so?
As of right now, yes.
Okay, it's the same procedure, just sending an email to the principal. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that was imposed by really the Department of Education, so, you know, that option will be available as long as the Department of Education, you know, dictates that it should be.
Okay, and my third question, it's kind of irrelevant now, but I feel like because of the Facebook page that Sandy and I moderate, I feel like I have to ask it because I was, you know, people reached out to me. What is the procedure at the intermediate school and the high school if we don't have enough substitutes in the classroom? Where do those children go in each of those two schools?
Well, I think, you know, every day is a little bit different, but, you know, what we would do, and you know, realize that that's a problem that exists every year. You know, obviously it's existed more this year than it has in typical years. But, you know, on any given, day, certain times of the year, we have, you know, what we call uncovered individuals, you know, uncovered teachers. And in those situations, we will ask, teachers to cover those classes. They may, you know, that's typically what happens. They would, you know, a teacher would cover that class. You know, in this year where the substitutes are very, you know, at a minimum, classes could be combined. In other words, if there's 4 kids in here and 3 kids over here, and, you know, we have a sub in this room but don't have a sub in this room, we can move those classes together. They could be, you know, as we discussed previously, they could be placed together in the cafeteria so that, you know, in other words, obviously if they all have a sub to cover for them, then they're in their room. But if we have 5 classes that don't have coverage and 2 substitutes, then we would work to combine those in an area. So that we would, you know, we wouldn't need 5 people to cover it. We could cover it with the 1 or 2.
So are the kids brought into the classrooms, or so that they're sitting at desks and working at the desks in the other classrooms, or in the cafeteria? Like everybody has a desk to work at, or
Yeah,
sit in?
Yeah, they would be brought to an area where they would be able to work. I mean, if they're brought to the cafeteria has desks, they can work at those desks. Sometimes, you know, if we had to, they could be brought into the auditorium. You know, typically even in those situations where we may not have a substitute, you know, typically teachers who are out are posting assignments on their Google Classrooms, and you know, the students still have work to do, so they can get that work done. Usually wherever they are.
Okay, so everybody has a seat to sit in and is comfortable.
I'm not sure. I can't speak to their comfort, but I mean, everybody, you know, it's that. I mean, Pam, if you have a question, ask it, because it sounds like you're.
Ask it, but, okay, a parent reached out, and I guess one of the parents' children said that they were sitting in a hallway.
Well, there's absolutely no reason why someone should be sitting in a hallway. So I think if that's the situation, you know, as we've stated several times over the last couple weeks, there are plenty of seats available at the high school right now. So
at the high school,
at the intermediate school as well. So you know, what I would suggest is to have that. If that was the situation, then have that parent contact the principal, and they can, you know, or the teacher. And they can, or maybe there wasn't a teacher to address, so contact the principal and they can address it.
Okay. All right, I'll let them know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Mr. Dietrich?
Yep, we are going to give Mr. Riley a shot again.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, sorry about that last round. I really appreciate the time. I just wanted to say on behalf of Mike Riley, Oakhurst, president of TOEA, and on behalf of TOEA, I just want to thank Mr. Haddon, Dietrich, and Marshall for all of the effort that you've put in over the years. I've said a number of times to various people that being on the board is daunting at best. It is, you know, the hours are unbelievable, and in a million years you will never see me on a board. It is just, you know, it is one of the most unthankable, you know, jobs going.
It's nothing like a union president, right, Mike?
Yeah.
It's easy in comparison. You know, I was state president. You will not see me on a board. You know, we've not always gotten along, but I definitely appreciate the fact that we've always been able to talk through our differences. And I think that's a extremely important thing that, you know, we have always been able to do. I do also want to remind Mr. Haddon that we still have negotiations going on. So while he's very happy that he doesn't have late nights right now, I can, you know, really probably be convinced to arrange a number of late nights later. So, you know, we can talk about it at another time. Thank you all very much for everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. All right. Anybody else, Mr. Dietrich?
Okay, we are going over to former board member, Mr. Clayton.
Mr. Clayton. I saw Steve on there.
Yes, hello there.
Hello, Mr. Clayton.
Nice to see everyone, and I want to thank the board for just, you know, persevering. It's a really difficult year, and in particular, when people were leaving. You know, we're all great people and just do great things. I know when I first got on board, Joe, who was the president, and Jim was vice president, and both were very helpful and just mentorship and helping out, and Dave brought some great perspectives from the university level onto the board. And so I just thank both of you so very much for all you did, and I wanted to combine and say that.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Dietrich.
I'm just checking with one person. We have one person who had their hand up and they took it down.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I think he does want to speak. Okay, Dave House. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, I just have a question. I understand how it works with the teachers being pulled from other rooms, but how does that work with a ICR teacher being pulled to another classroom? I was understood if that teacher is pulled, that the parents will be notified after an extended period of time. What qualifies as an extended period of time? Is that an extended period of time through the day, a consecutive number of days, or a certain number of days of the week?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a set rule. I mean, obviously, if if a ICR teacher is going to be not in a room for a day, I would say no. I mean, on any given day, we may have to pull a teacher, probably not, but I would say more, because also an ICR teacher may be out just naturally. They might be ill, they might not be there, we might not be able to get a substitute for that person. So I would say, I mean, like I said, there's no set, I don't know that there is an actual time. I think, if there's going to be, if it looks like someone is going to be not returning in a reasonable amount of time, then obviously I think we would want to, inform people of what's going on and let them know what's going on. So I would just say that if you have a situation, you should contact your principal if you feel that there's been an issue that you haven't been made aware of.
Okay, so I just want to confirm that you're not willing to commit to a certain time frame. You just what you determine a reasonable amount of time. That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to say. It depends on a lot of circumstances. I mean, like I said, a teacher could be out. A teacher could get the flu and be out for a week or two. I mean, usually in that instance, the teacher informs the students that they're going to be out. So. Like I said, I think if there's a specific question about a specific situation, you should, contact the principal and they can walk that situation through with you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, Mr. Dietrich?
Yep. Sandy Abdulaziz.
Okay.
You're up, Sandy.
Hello, Sandy Abdulaziz, 32 Road 45. Just really quick, first of all, thank you, the three of you, for your many, many years of service. I think between Pam and I fighting for all the park things, I think we've been to many meetings trying to get through all this. So we appreciate all your help in getting through this and moving past park and into COVID. So there you go. Anyway, I do have a quick question. For the 5-letter words, right? Yeah. I do have a quick question. Dr. Domenico, could you just clarify what you were talking about for the week after
Probably not, Sam.
New Year's? You were saying that as of now, we're going to try to go in, but it's a...
No, I mean, what we're thinking right now is that we will more than likely not be in. We'll be all remote the week of the 4th, and that we're targeting the 11th as the more likely return date. We've seen since Halloween, we've really seen that we have, after Thanksgiving, after Halloween, after Thanksgiving, those weeks preceding post those holidays were really where we saw a pretty good amount of activity as far as COVID cases and pending cases and things like that. And unfortunately, even though we spent those weeks out after that, we were able to come back. But then, the activity then eventually caught up, and we did ultimately have to go remote. We were remote during Thanksgiving, but now we see we're 2 weeks past Thanksgiving, and we're kind of at that place. We were 2 weeks past Halloween, and we got to that place. So, I think we just have to. We want to try to. The goal is when we get back, we want to stay back. We don't want to keep into out to. But that's been sort of the pattern the last month and a half. So we want to try to create a situation that when we're back, we're back. But that's been tough with the activity that we've seen in our township, the last so many months.
Okay, so will some formal announcement come out before we go to winter break, or would it come out over winter break?
No, that'll come out in the next day or two.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for your service, and everybody have a wonderful holiday.
You too. Thank you, Sandy. Mr. Dietrich?
I believe that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming this evening. We hope everyone has a safe and healthy holiday, and we look forward to seeing you all back in January. Motion to adjourn? Yes. A motion to adjourn?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned.
Which school did you said? They're disposable, because I have to put lipstick.
Time is not